This video is to show you how to put the G2 trigger into the Saiga Sporter stock configuration with no conversion kit required. G2 trigger in the gun out of the box with cover plate removed. Old Russian trigger and the new G2 trigger before I cut the trigger off. Showing the trigger chopped off. Okay. Problems with the original Russian trigger group in your Saiga Sporter. Here's the stock hammer. Clicks back into the single hook trigger. With the trigger pressed, I'm pressing the trigger with my finger. The disconnector is now engaging the trigger. I'm going to let it go. Now it's ready to fire. Right here, can you focus in on that better? Right here is where you're going to notice a disconnector hitting the hammer, which is what causes that extra pull of trigger that everyone complains about. And adds another, I think it's 1 or 2 pounds of pull actually. I'll do it again. You actually see the disconnector move back before the trigger is the hammer is released by the trigger. You ready? Okay, go. Recording. You go. Oh, okay. This is the standard trigger group piece minus the trigger, as you'll see, out of the Saiga. This is the new one I'm going to use. I'm using the double hook. You don't need to worry about that. Just get the single hook if all you're looking for is the Tapco extended features. And this is the old disconnector hook. This is the new disconnector hook. You'll notice it doesn't have this piece on the back. I believe that's for the full auto function because there's a piece on the selector lever that actually touches the back of this only in the middle setting, which would be full auto, which we don't have that on semi-auto rifles. So, you know, we're not even going to use this, and then we're using all these pieces here. Now what I have noticed is on the back side the height of these is different. You'll have to remove 1 millimeter or 40 thousandths from this surface down. You could use a grinder, a file. I used a file on mine. It didn't take that long. It was easy to do. And that's for the little transfer bar that pushes on this that I'll show you later inside the gun. The other thing you need to do is you need to cut the trigger off. I think flush would be better, but I left a little bit of some meat here and I had to do a little grinding to make it work right. But anyway, and I'll show you the trigger I ground on right now. Are you still going? Okay, this is the trigger I ground on. As you can see, trigger's gone. I did have to remove a little space here because something was binding up in the front when it pulled all the way because there's that cover plate there. But in the back here, I removed roughly, like I said, 40 thousandths or roughly 1 millimeter of material off of this surface. And that's so the transfer bar can push under here. Okay, stop. Still going. Okay, this is the trigger I ground on. As you can see, trigger's gone. I did have to remove a little space here because something was binding up in the front when it pulled all the way because there's that cover plate there. But in the back here, I removed roughly, like I said, 40 thousandths or roughly 1 millimeter of material off of this surface. And that's so the transfer bar can push under here. Okay, now? Stop. Okay. Okay, this is the original hammer. I've been looking at other videos, and I don't know if this is ground funny for some other purpose, but in my gun it never did anything because I have a single hook and all this did was move out of the way, and I upgraded to a double hook, or I'm considering an upgrade to a double hook, and the double hook, these two sides are the same. I actually don't know, and this is how the Tapco one comes when you get a double hook. I do not know how it comes if you get a single hook, because mine has two hooks here, as you can see. And on the original one, there's one hook. Because I'm just showing you how to put, you know, this type of trigger, cut this off so that it will fit where this was. That's all my video is intended to do. But if you need this piece here to do some sort of a bolt hold open or something else, I don't know if Tapco's has this piece on it, because I have seen some where it's missing completely, where this is just gone. I do believe you can, and I have done it, so I know you can. You can use this hammer with the Tapco trigger, because as you can see here, and because I have the double hook, you can line these up and see it lines up pretty darn good as far as where the hooks, you know, where the catches and everything are. So anyway, I'm going to assemble this in my gun now. I don't want to show that because that just takes too long. And I'm going to show you that, now the new Tapco disconnector, this does not touch the hammer. And when you release it, it has a lighter trigger pull than it did before. And I believe it's because of that. It could be because of some angles in here. I don't really know what Tapco does. But the trigger is awesome, and I love it. Anyway. Okay. Okay, here everything is installed. I didn't want to waste anyone's time with how you showed that, but I did want to show that I use this clip for holding the access pins in. It's very easy to slide in there. They got 100 other guys with 100 other videos to show you how to do that. Don't worry about that with mine. Okay, so I'm going to cock it. And I'm holding a flashlight with my finger because I just don't have good lighting. Now I'm going to pull the trigger. I'm going to pull the trigger as though it fired, and then I'm going to let it come back and hold it down on the disconnector. Okay, there the disconnector's holding the hammer. Then I'm going to let go of it. Now the trigger's holding the hammer, and see the gap here? The standard trigger is a lot closer than that. Now I'm going to put my finger in the way of the hammer so it doesn't hit, but I'm going to slowly pull the trigger, and you're going to see that that does not touch the hammer at all, which gives the Tapco that lighter trigger pull that everyone loves. And that's pretty much the extent of my video. I just want to show you that you can put the G2 trigger group in the Saiga stock configuration, sporter configuration, whatever you want to call it. You just have to take the trigger, the finger part of the trigger off, and you just have to file these little grooves that are under this. In fact, this little fork right here that moves, that's the transfer bar. And basically you just have to make sure that little click you hear is the front of this touching the receiver and not anything else, because as long as that comes down where it's supposed to go and it's not hitting that bottom cover plate, everything should work fine. And then you can test it like I did here. You can cock it, pull the trigger, and if something doesn't feel right, you know, take it apart, try it again. It's just basically some filing, and just be careful, because if you take off too much, you don't want this loose in here. And right now mine, I know the trigger always had that little wiggle to it, but everything else is nice and tight. Like I can push down on this transfer bar and it's touching the bottom, nothing's binding that up. If I push down this way, I know I'm hearing the front of the fork hit the stock location. I can see the dent. Can you see the little paint's missing? You see the paint is missing down here where I'm poking at it? Well, this hook is hitting right there, so that's as far as the stock one went anyway. So that's fine. Well, anyway, thank you very much, and I hope this helps.